This is video 2. And another question I had from Deb Woods is, you know, sightings people have had around here. And I've spent a lot of time in the woods ever since I was little. I did did some trapping at one point where I was out all the time. I've heard, you know, the wood knocks, the things like that, you know, I knew something was up. I've come across a couple structures in my life to where, you know, I hesitated. I didn't think hunters did it, but I wasn't sure at that point. Things like that, to where, you know, I figured something was going on. My mom, I love my mom to death, and I trust her 100%. She is not a liar. I bought 20 acres from her, and I used to live on the back side of her field in a house. She owned 80 some acres. I bought 20 acres of it and built the house back there. But her part of it, she had, you know, chicken coop, horses, you know, the dogs, kind of a small hobby farm. And yeah, I think it was springtime, but one day she went out to her chicken coop, and in the snow were human-like footprints without shoes. You know, it was perfect tracks in the snow up to the chicken coop and then gone again. And I'm guessing they came and, you know, got eggs out of there. And they weren't big. I asked her how big they were. They would have been about the size, you know, maybe a size, I think. They weren't big. They would have been a juvenile, but, you know, about the size of my foot, I think she said, which was probably, you know, a size 9.5 men's. But they came up her driveway, and there's a tamarack swamp out there, and a little creek that flows across her driveway, and it came up her driveway and then to the chicken coop, and then it ended up, the tracks went back down the driveway and across into the tamarack swamp. And this was before I was into, you know, what I'm doing now. So I didn't document it or nothing. I didn't even see it, and I didn't even know. I wasn't living there at the time, so I didn't even know until, you know, quite a while afterwards. Then her and her friend were riding horses down a back trail, which is thousands of acres of, you know, no houses or nothing on it, and one spot of the trail they had a loud wood knock, and then whoop, like that, and then that was it, you know, and they knew what it was. That was the first time I actually went out and looked for evidence back there after that happened. Me and my stepbrother, and I think my son. But we did find, you know, one pretty darn good print on the backside of a beaver pond. So then we started following, you know, not really following anything, but just walking around the woods back in there. I found feathers hung in a tree. I found like a pile of deer hair in one spot that was kind of weirdly placed. I think it was placed. Where the feathers were hung, the branches were broke downwards right there. This is what they're doing. Man, they're doing a lot of logging back here. logging. This is the same trail in one of my videos recently. I was talking about Shingle Mill Lake, and you guys can look it up online. It'll pop up on there. But they had set up deer trail cams and caught what they believed to be a Sasquatch, and that was literally back right there, approximately, I'd say 2 miles that way is all, back in the woods. And I've been back there, and there's a lot of sign, a lot of tree beds that were really weird. You know, it was either bear or Sasquatch. Last I heard, we'll be down to about 11 below zero this coming week. Ain't so bad. End of December, January, we start hitting, you know, a lot of times 30, 40 below, which I guess cold. That's when your boots, you go out, you know, I've been out in that cold, and I got videos where I've been out in that cold weather, but your boots get hard as a rock. Now at the end of this road, and you take a right, and then there's another trail. I got a friend that hunts deer back in there, and him and his daughter, you know, were out there before daylight. I think it was the opener of deer hunting, but in the stand, and it was just starting to get light out to where they could just start to see, and there's a nice buck that came in, but they didn't dare shoot yet. He was, you know, if they shot, you know, a lot of times DNRs will listen for shots and then catch people, and they'd be in big trouble. But so they didn't shoot yet, and they were waiting for it to get a little bit lighter before they shot it. And they had a loud wood knock, and then the whoop, just like my mom and my mom's friend had. But loud wood knock and then a whoop, and he said his daughter said, "Dad, there's a big man standing over there." And he turned, and they could see his silhouette, and then it was gone. So that was, and I went there. He explained where it was to me, because he wanted me to go in and see what I could find for structures and stuff. So I got a video on that too. But so I started following, you know, structures and stuff, and I came across a freestanding teepee, and it was done all out of the same size wood. It was all debarked, and they had it leaned up, all of them leaned up into another tree, and I would say there's probably 6 or 7 of them leaned up and in, and then they had a kicker down to the ground structures, and the kicker came down into, can't remember, there was an X at the end of it that it came down and touched, and I'm guessing it went farther, but